conservative new media viewers and JLin fans. What's going on? Hope everybody is having or had a nice Easter or whatever holiday you may be celebrating around this time of the year. I'm doing this video because I was looking through the comments in the Game 73 video. Now, I didn't get to respond down there very much, and I'm sorry about that, but just like I said, I'm just having trouble typing right now just because of some of my stuff, so I'm not going to type too much right now, though I probably will go down into the comments of this video. I'm making this video because I was reading through the comments, and it was mentioned by Joyce Ward and some other people about James Harden, and James Harden sitting out the game against the Clippers, and I wanted to share some thoughts about that. Now, if you listen to the Rockets feed of the game with Clyde Drexler apparently said that James Harden chose to sit out the game, right? And I believe that's what Joyce mentioned. Now, the simple translation of what James Harden did was that James Harden was mad because he was benched along with all the other starters in the fourth quarter of the Memphis game, right? That was the game where the bench guys cut the lead down to 9 points, but McHale sat all of the starters in the fourth quarter and wouldn't put them back in, including James Harden. Now, I commented that I thought McHale was doing that because he thought the game was over and he was resting the guys for the Clippers game number 73. But it turns out that after the game, McHale said that he thought the bench was playing better. In other words, basically giving the hint or the meaning that he just wanted to bench the starters. Basically, maybe to teach them a lesson. The bench is better than the starters, blah, 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 blah. Well, it could be as simple as James Harden was pushing back against McHale, just for James Harden. Like, dude, don't bench me. You bench me, my foot's sore. Guess I'm going to have to miss this important game against the Clippers. And then people are saying, hey, yeah, it backfired on James Harden. And the team won without him. And look, a lot of us were happy because Jeremy was able to lead the team, and they won without James Harden, which is great. Makes Jeremy look good. Sir, for real. But I don't know. I'm thinking of a different, deeper level here. And I want to go back to Game 71, which was the game against Indiana, which was the game that got me so upset. Why? Because they put Jeremy in, did McHale at the end of the game when the game was over, basically, whether he wanted to admit it or not. I know people have said, look, Paul, it's only an 11-point lead with 5 minutes left. That's a lot of points against a team with the number one defense in the league. And it wasn't going to happen. It just wasn't going to happen. Now, so what I'm thinking is in that game, James Harden shot brick after brick after brick, right? And in the Game 71 video, not only did I rip McHale, but I ripped Harden, right? So what happened in the Memphis game? What happened in Game 72? What happened was James Harden was playing a different style of basketball. He wasn't shooting brick after brick. He was passing more. When he drove in, he'd pass. And some of the guys, like I remember one pass to Demo, he fumbled it out of bounds because he wasn't ready for the pass. He probably thought James Harden was going to shoot. So what I'm thinking here is, and I don't know if this is true, but I thought about this, and I've been thinking about this all day. What if James Harden sat out, not just because he was upset, but because he wanted to push back on McHale for the entire team. Like, in other words, what if Kevin McHale sat all the starters for the fourth quarter in Memphis because Kevin McHale might have been mad because they were playing the way of James Harden's passing more instead of James Harden ISO. In other words, maybe the coaches wanted James Harden to do more ISO, and James Harden was passing the ball more. Maybe that didn't make the coaches and Kevin McHale happy, and they want more ISO. So, in other words, and again, I don't know if this is true, but there's something going on here. There's something going on here behind the scenes, and it could be as simple as James Harden was upset that he was benched. But there's a part of me that feels like this might be bigger than that. This might be James Harden using his role as superstar to stand up for the whole team. And again, it started in the Indiana game. If you remember, at the end of that game, Jeremy threw his mouthpiece. He was mad because he probably felt the way that I felt, which was he was set up and put back in a game that he shouldn't have been put back in. Why was he put back in? Because Kevin McHale failed in putting in Patrick Beverley, and it didn't work, and they weren't going to win. Kevin McHale didn't want to hear the criticism from Jeremy's fans that, hey, you didn't play Jeremy in the fourth quarter, and you lost. So you put him in for a token appearance, even though the game's over. So maybe the players took it upon themselves like, we didn't really play the right way in that game. Maybe the coaches weren't that great either. Now we're going to play a different way. We're going to play the share the ball way. And James Harden was passing the ball in the Memphis game. Now, it's possible James Harden's foot was hurting, and he just didn't want to try to score as much. Like I said, I don't have any inside information here, but something's going on. And Joyce Ward and other people have hinted at this. Somebody, I believe Teza, put up a quote from Jeremy after the Memphis game where Jeremy praised the Memphis coach. Now, okay, that's relatively harmless. Well, when's the last time you heard Jeremy praise Kevin McHale? So I think there's something going on here, and I think it might be deeper than James Harden wanted to send a message for James Harden. It might be James Harden wanted to send a message for the team. And because, again, James Harden is doing what the coaches want him to do. They want ISO, right? And in the Memphis game, James Harden didn't play ISO. And all of a sudden, all the starters are benched in the fourth quarter. And McHale said he didn't do it to rest them. So we got to watch this dynamic. There's something going on here. We know that Kevin McHale has had issues with players before, as in the case with Kyle Lowry last year. Again, I'm not trying to stoke insurrection here or any of this stuff. I actually went on one of the I went onto Wenshu City, which is a great site. I promoted Jeremy Lintel's site. If you are a Chinese-speaking person in the United States or anywhere around the world, Wenshu City, WENXUE City, is a really good site for Chinese-speaking persons that's based out of Palo Alto, California. And they're kind to us. They put up these videos a lot, so I appreciate that. I went on there because they had put up the video about McHale, the Game 71 where I was ripping McHale, and they're like, oh, Paul's trying to, cause rebellion and it's going to hurt Jeremy. No, I'm not trying to cause anything. I'm discussing what I see and what I know in terms of how things come out in the media. I've worked in the media, and I understand how players and coaches will send messages, how messages get sent indirectly, like James Harden sitting out the Clippers game. So I can pick up on that type of stuff. And I think a lot of us that are following this team know there's stuff going on behind the scenes. I mean, there's stuff going on behind the scenes in every single team that exists. There's stuff going on behind the scenes here. And I'm really interested now in what's going on. And the James Harden sitting out the game against the Clippers, the last 3 games, Indiana, Memphis, and Clippers, there's tension mounting there. Something's going down. And we have to try to figure out what it is. Now, look, it's great. We won the game against the Clippers. Jeremy did well. The haters, his stats, blah, blah, blah. No. He did great. But, I don't know. We're just going to have to keep watching. I mean, look, there's only 9 games left in this season. In the playoffs. Hopefully we can do well in the playoffs. But it's just something that's going to bear watching, how all the players and how the coaching crew meshes with the players. And a lot of the focus of the team has been around Jeremy, how the coaches treat Jeremy. Look, part of the thing for McHale was, he took a lot of heat for the Indiana game and what happened with Jeremy from myself, from a whole bunch of people. That video did well because everybody else felt the same thing I felt. So it could have been as simple as McHale knew after the Indiana game that he couldn't just diss Jeremy. He is going to have to diss all the starters, because if he disses Jeremy again, then he's really going to have a problem. So I'm not sure. But it's something that bears watching. As I've told you guys before, Jeremy has a tremendous amount of power, even though he's not an incredibly accomplished player yet. But when you're as popular as Jeremy is around the world, the league knows how important Jeremy is. Believe me. I mean, they've said this. They said it at the All-Star game this year. And the man that's going to replace David Stern, almost assuredly, Adam Silver, went out of his way to praise Jeremy and said he's improving, etc. They know that Jeremy is their ticket in Asia. They know that. Believe me. That's the reason why the Rockets are going to be playing preseason games next year in the Philippines and Taiwan. They understand that. Believe me. So, again, Jeremy has a tremendous amount of power, even though he's not going to come out and rip McHale. He's not going to do any of that because he understands that he has a long way to go as a player. But it's like it's like a gravitational object. It's like a massive object that has incredible gravitational pull. That's what Jeremy is. So he has an effect on everything around him, his gravitational pull, even if, he's just a third-year guy that's just in his first year as a starter. And so it's going to change the dynamics of stuff because of how important Jeremy is. So I don't know. But when I thought about what Harden did, look, Harden likes Lin. He does. And yeah, we have the games, and Harden, he looks off Lin and doesn't pass the ball. I know. Harden likes Lin. And Harden likes the rest of his teammates. I think this team has good chemistry. So it does happen in certain circumstances where the guy with the most clout, the guy with the biggest reputation, he'll take one for the team. He'll do something to send a message to the people in power. In this case, that being the coaching staff. Like, look, don't do that again. Or don't do whatever, or don't, in my scenario, don't bench us because we're playing a certain way. Maybe we're playing a different way than what you want us to play. You can't, you can fire one person at a big company. You can't fire everybody. So if everybody's going against you, you're going to have to change. You can't lose the entire company. So I don't know. I don't want to create drama here or whatever, but there is certainly something going on here. And I think it's pretty clear, at least to me and to a lot of you guys, James Harden chose to sit out of the game yesterday. I mean, that's basically what Clyde Drexler was saying, or at least what I understood him to be saying. So there is something going on. It's just a matter of what is it? Is it the surface level thing that it's just James Harden sticking up for James Harden? Or is it James Harden sticking up for JLin and the rest of the team? Because they wanted to play a share the ball way against Memphis, and maybe the coach McHale didn't like that. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But it's something I was thinking about, so I wanted to share it with you guys so we can all talk about it and see what you think. You guys can toss it around and we can see what's up. Of course, tomorrow we'll be playing the Orlando Magic in Houston, Texas. Again, that game is at 8 p.m. Eastern Time in the United States, which means it will take place early Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. in Taipei, Taiwan. And speaking of Taipei, Taiwan, it is right now 12 p.m. on Monday, April 1st in Taipei, Taiwan, which means it is 12 a.m. midnight as we cross over between Sunday, March 31st, 2013 and April 1st, 2013. Now, in the United States, I don't know if this is true all around the world. The United States, there's a tradition on April 1st called it's April Fool's Day. So you'll see people playing gimmicks and gags and stuff, and they'll tell stories like, I just won $1 million. You did? Nah, April Fools. Little stuff like this. It's like you can say anything and, lie about stuff and make jokes and then just say April Fools. So I'm not sure if that's the true around the world or if it's just USA, North America, etc. But you'll see stuff like that on the internet today on English-based sites or American-based sites where they'll be doing like gags and jokes that are April Fools. So, look, I hope everybody's having a great day, great night, wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. I am Paul Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thanks for watching Conservative New Media. We strive to be the #1 JLin YouTube fan channel. I'm pumped. Great game yesterday, obviously. And I watched a great game tonight between the Spurs and the Heat, where Chris Bosh hit a three-pointer right at the end of the game to win, and Miami won in San Antonio, even though they were playing without LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. So that was a big win, and it pretty much wraps up home court advantage throughout the playoffs for the Miami Heat. So that was a big win. Okay, I'm interested to see what you guys have to say about what I just said. Whatever the case is, I think what James Harden did is good in terms of pushing back against the coaching staff. Again, I'm not, the coaches are the coaches. They have the power and the responsibility. There has to be some hierarchy. You have to respect the coaches. But the coaches also need to respect the players. And, McHale played in a different era. In that era, players had a lot less power. Now the players have a lot more power. So if you're going to coach today's player, you got to get along with the players. And we all know, again, the strains and struggles between Jeremy and Coach McHale. So I'm kind of happy that James Harden did what he did, because I think it was a larger message than just for him. I think it was standing up for the team in one way or another. So good, great. Hopefully that'll help the team and Jeremy and everybody else on the team too. So, okay, I'll see you guys in the comments. Interested to hear what you have to say. Thanks for all the comments. I'm reading everything as I can. It's like I said, I just got to be kind of rash in how much I type right now. So take care. Hope everybody's doing well. Talk to you soon.